Good afternoon and welcome to BJC Mitzvah Day number 188, part 4. Uses a chinuch, a mitzvah that keeps us on his way, the prohibition to conduct oneself in an intimate manner with any one of the Arayos. With respect to the underlying purposes of distancing licentiousness, says the author, I have already written what I know in the 8th mitzvah prohibition in Parshas Yisro, which is, you shall not commit adultery. That was mitzvah 35. This mitzvah, that was the 35th mitzvah, but it was the 8th prohibition. This mitzvah also shares the same underlying purpose. That is, we are restrained from behaving intimately in any manner with an erva, because it is well known that behaving intimately is a primary cause of forbidden cohabitation. And forbidden cohabitation is rife with various pitfalls and defects, as I wrote there, says the author. However, in truth, that reason is sufficient only when it comes to explaining the prohibition of extramarital relationships with a married woman. But when it comes to explaining the prohibition of cohabitation with close relatives, we are still in need of additional rationale. For the numerous pitfalls listed there in Mitzvah 35 are specific to relations with a married woman. In the discussion of the prohibition of revealing the erva of one's mother, Mitzvah 190, says the author, I will write what I know about this with the help of Hashem. Among the laws of the mitzvah is that which the sages of blessed memory prohibited as a safeguard against transgressing the actual prohibition of Arayos. Says the footnote here, that is, while the biblical prohibition of intimate behavior is limited to physical contact with an erva, the sages added additional safeguards and prohibited other interactions with Arayos that might result in sinning with them. Namely, they said that a man may not gesture with his hands or signal with his eyes to one of the Arayos, and may not be at all playful with them. It is even prohibited to smell the perfume they are wearing. It is also categorically prohibited to gaze at a woman, even at the face of a bride, with the intent of deriving pleasure. The sages prohibited gazing even at their little finger. This is prohibited with all women, with the exception of the man's wife, at whose beauty it is permissible for him to gaze. Even while she is a nida, again, menstrually impure because of her period, and forbidden to him, he can still look at her finger. This is permitted because although she is now a nida and forbidden to him, she will become permissible to him after a while. And there is a presumption regarding a Jew that he is in control of his evil inclination in such a situation where it is a matter of time before the prohibition is lifted. However, when one wife is a nida, it is permitted to gaze only at a place on her body that is normally uncovered, like the finger, as only at such a place did they permit a husband to gaze while his wife is a nida, but not at parts that are typically covered. This is prohibited so that the evil inclination should not envelop him. The sages of blessed memory also stated, based on the Rambam, that it is prohibited for a man to gaze even at the hair of a woman who is prohibited to him, and that even listening to her voice with the intent of deriving pleasure from it is prohibited. Even concerning gazing at the colorful clothing of a woman, that is, the beautiful clothing of a woman, which is generally made from colorful cloth, the sages have stated that it is prohibited to gaze at them whenever one is acquainted with the woman who wears them, because by gazing at her beautiful clothing, a person might come to think lustfully about her. Okay, there's more on this, but the hour is getting late. Thanks for listening to Sponsor of Future Mitzvah 36, 100 for the gold. Have a wonderful rest of your day.